At some point, the rubber is going to meet the road. All we can do is comment on the hard statistics. This isn't a feeling. This isn't an intuition. This isn't us, pulling a screenshot, zooming in, and not providing any data. This is us looking at the information that we have. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show, Shawn. In today's episode, we're going to be covering a recent topic that went viral over the weekend about the DC housing markets. But first, I want to tell you about my weekend, okay? So I stayed up late on Friday night and Saturday night.
Why would you do that?
Okay, and when I mean late, I mean after 9:30, because that's late for me. So
you're an old man in a young guy's body, huh?
pretty much.
Yeah.
On Saturday night, I stayed up late watching the United States men's hockey team versus Canada
Oh yeah.
in the Four Nations face-off. The second the Canadians started booing the national anthem, that got me nice and steamed up for that game, and
Nice.
US won. There's a rematch tomorrow night. So that's what I was doing Saturday night. What I was doing Friday night is someone was wrong on the internet, and I couldn't go to sleep until I had a rebuttal to this person. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll throw up the screenshot. I'm not even gonna, I'm gonna hide the username just to not give any more validation to this, ultra right-wing conservative tinfoil hat wearing, world on fire type of, content maker.
How do you really feel, Matt?
But essentially what it is a screenshot of a map that shows all of these coming soon bubbles in Arlington, Virginia. And this thing got 11 million views. 11 million people saw this thing. The quote was, "The weirdest thing is happening near Washington, D.C. Here's Arlington, Virginia. Everything is being put on the market." Shawn, everything.
Oh my
It's a screenshot on the internet.
Yeah.
It has to be true.
Yeah.
Everything.
And I saw your response to that like instantly because I saw the post too, and we started just getting calls like crazy. So we had to go ahead.
I was getting calls. I was getting multiple text messages about this. And, at this point, you got to start playing defense because the narrative is out there. Hey, everyone's selling. Hey, they're draining the swamp. Everyone in DC, the DC market is crashing,
Yep.
right? Everyone's putting it on. Look, I'm looking at a screenshot. I see a lot of coming soon bubbles. It has to be true. I'm going to get into some things, but first, Shawn, I want to know what your thoughts are when you saw this tweet.
Yeah, I was like, all right, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is completely wrong because I watch Arlington's numbers every week. We go over the numbers every week. And, I was like, who in the heck is posting this? I don't know this person. Why are they posting about Arlington inventory when they know nothing about Arlington inventory? So then right after that, I got calls from agents saying, hey, are you seeing this? No. I mean, are you seeing the inventory? No. Clients, everybody's trying to call and say, listen, what's actually going on? And so I had to dispel the rumors and say, listen, this is completely untrue. There are no big influxes of inventory right now. And, I don't know. Do you want me to go into
let's talk about what is true about the post, because this can very easily tail off and just to realtors getting defensive. So the picture seems factual. It doesn't seem like it's been altered. Okay. It looks like a screenshot and it looks like a screenshot from realtor.com. And I don't think they, copy and pasted extra coming soon bullet points and threw them on. There's something called population density. And, Arlington is the smallest geographic county in the United States. So maybe it does look like there's a lot for sale in this small geographic county, which, by the way, is also Fairfax is also in this. Alexandria is also in this screenshot that says Arlington. McLean is also in this screenshot that says Arlington, Virginia. So what's accurate about this is that it hasn't been manipulated, right? It hasn't been like this is an actual screenshot, but then where things tail off is the factual information about this, because anyone can post a screenshot online and speak in definitive, tonality, but there's no context behind this. Is this a normal market? Is this a lot for sale? Is this a little for sale? What's interesting about these people that post screenshots and then make a definitive statement is that they don't post the statistics.
Right.
They don't post the graphs. They don't post the charts. Or if they do, it's extremely cherry picking and misleading.
Mhm.
So, Shawn, you had mentioned some statistics that you wanted to hop into.
Yeah, so what I did, I was actually gonna do a video based on this and just put it on Instagram real quick because it pissed me off, and I was like, "This is totally untrue." But what I tried to do was take that search area that person had done and manipulate it on our system, on Bright MLS. I was trying to do that exact square. But the key thing is, I don't know if he took this from maybe Zillow or wherever it was taken from, but I couldn't when I did that, what you'll notice is that his prices and the coming soon tags are really big. So it looks like there's a ton, but if you would actually zoom in a layer, it spreads those things out, and it looks like not nowhere near what it actually is. So just so you guys know, and I keep numbers every week. I watch how many single family homes are on the market, how many condos, how many North Arlington condos, how many North Arlington single family homes, particular stuff. And what I'll tell you, and I'm going to take off my glasses to look at this, but this Monday, I did the numbers. There are 223 active properties in all of Arlington, 223. There's 44 coming soon and 185 pending. So what does that tell you? 185 pending. We have less than 2 months inventory. And that is pretty typical. To give you some context, as we hit into the fall market last year, this is September 16th, we had 312 active, 27 coming soon, and 173 pending. So what that shows you is 223 now, and we had 312 last, September. We had more. We have less now. We're always running on a shortage of inventory. And so this is the reality. This is a kind of a normal market for us. We're always running low on inventory, and the headlines are completely false. And I don't want this to alarm people to say, "Oh, I was going to sell, I'm not going to sell anymore," or, "Oh, I'm going to sell because it's going to get crazy." It's not. Just chill out a little bit, all right? If you think about it logically, we all just need to take a deep breath. All right, there's people on both sides, no matter right or left, far wing. One's going to say, "Oh, look, Donald Trump is destroying our government." The other one is saying, "Look, we're draining the swamp," right? They're both going to be posting the same junk. And it's important to just weed through that stuff and listen to the people on the ground, which is Matt and I and your fellow realtors.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. Go
So
ahead.
the monthly statistics for January are out. It's middle of February, so we don't have the February numbers yet. But January active listings for Arlington County, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll throw up the graph. This is from Realtor Property Resource, which is in direct partnership with Bright MLS. So it's the direct feed as opposed to Realtor.com, which what that tweet was using, or Zillow, or whatever search you want to manipulate. So Arlington County, January 2025 active listings, 238. To give you an idea, just to give you an idea, Shawn, in September of 2021, there were 875 new listings, active listings. So September 2021, 875. Now we're at, what did I say, 238. Oh, but Shawn, active listings are going up because in December we had 205. So we had, 30 more listings.
Yeah.
And you may say, "Oh, well, that was, January, things are changing fast." Well, why don't we look at the first half of February? So this is Bright MLS new listings by county or city for the first half of February. Arlington saw an actual decrease of 2 properties. Okay, so first half of 2024, 112 new listings. First half of 2025, 110 new listings. So it's literally down by 2. Alexandria City, it was up by about 7%. Fairfax County down by 7%. And then when we have Washington, D.C., when we're looking at total new listings for the first half of February, last year we were at 423. This year, 452. That's an increase of 7%. To me, 7% doesn't mean everything. 7% doesn't mean fire sale. 7% doesn't mean, hey, everyone in this jurisdiction is selling. So it's very important that we, take a deep breath and look at what the actual figures tell us, as opposed to quickly doom scrolling on our favorite social network of choice and seeing a map and, thinking that everyone's selling.
Yeah, and there's a couple points to this. Naturally, we are running into the spring market, and we have to, go back a year and look at the spring market and really compare those numbers. But we are naturally going to see more inventory come on. This is when we start. This is our spring market. This is our hot time. This is when all of the listings start coming in March, April, and May. And this is when all the buyers flood in. Now, what we could see is a slight tentativeness of the buyers. But what does that do to? Well, our interest rates haven't gone down yet. So there's a lot of factors that you've got to factor into this. But let me give you a couple real life examples right now. So yesterday, last week, I put on a condo and I said, in Clarendon, and I said, this is going to be probably the hottest condo in Arlington. That was my prediction. I knew it was nice. I knew it was priced right. And what happened? I had 14 agent showings, which is high for a condo. I had at least 30 people through that open house over 2 days. It was raining and windy. People still came. And I ended up getting 8 offers on a Clarendon condo, which is, you expect to get a few, but that's a lot in the condo market to get 8 offers. That's telling you something, right? So that place was well priced. It looked good, but there's still a lot of buyers out there and they're looking for the nice stuff. The good stuff will sell. I was also talking to another agent that put something on in the $800,000, $900,000 mark in Alexandria, and they got like 20 offers on it. So really talk to the people on the ground to see what's happening. Now, that's not happening on every listing, and it never does. It's never every listing that's going to get that much traction. We were talking to Eli Tucker the other day, and he was wondering how his listing was doing to ours. So, it's important to talk to agents that have different listings in the area to see what is actually happening in the market. Just because one agent's slow doesn't mean everybody's slow. The other thing I want to tell you is thinking about everything logically. Okay, so even if there's a lot of government workers and contractors being fired and being let go, what is the first thing they're going to do? They're probably going to look for another job, right? The first thing they're going to do is not going to be, let's put the house on the market, right? That's a fear tactic of just like, oh my gosh, we got to go. If they're smart, they have some money in reserves, they're able to pay their mortgage for a while and look for a new job. So thinking that all of these firings, I don't even know how many firings there's actually been, right? Or people let go. But thinking that that's going to cause a big glut of inventory really quickly is just false. It's going to take time. Everybody's going to go on their own time. So even if there are a lot of people let go, it's going to take some time for that to actually hit. Now, as you saw in 2021, we had 800 and some active listings compared to 220 now. Arlington always eats this stuff up. Even in the surrounding, I want to say around the Beltway, typically we have a lot of need for inventory. And our inventory typically has been gobbled up pretty quickly. We've seen big corporations leave Arlington, Virginia, and we're like, oh man, this is a couple thousand people that are leaving and going to sell their houses. We didn't see anything crazy happen. So this is a very busy market. We have low inventory. We've had low inventory for a long time, and I want people to just chill out.
Yeah, Arlington's still a great place for businesses if it's, Amazon, Nestle, Microsoft, large companies
Yeah,
that they're not, it's not a direct government company, right? Like, all right, if you were to say, Raytheon, like a defense contractor,
correct.
or Boeing, you could say, okay, well, maybe they're just only here for government, whatever. But I mean, when Amazon HQ2 decides to move their second headquarters to Arlington, obviously they want to be there for the lobbying efforts, but, Amazon's like it's its own company. It's not a government company. But Shawn, this narrative of more inventory, it's not going to go away anytime soon. In fact, it will pick up, as you were mentioning. The spring market is coming. It's here. Hopefully, this is the last snow that we're going to get. I'm tired of the snow. I want it to be gone.
Yeah.
But now we're playing defense. Now the narrative's out there. 11 million people saw that everything in Arlington is for sale. Only I would say 10 or 9 million people are going to watch this podcast.
Yeah.
And so, we live in a world where you can just throw something out on the internet. Everyone assumes it's true. And then, I mean, even you see, insert your famous, political candidate. If they say something is true and everyone's like, no, it's actually false. Well, the damage has already been done. Like, people assume it to be true. And I was curious to see how the further out counties looked. And even going out to Loudoun County, we're not seeing much of a dip. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll throw up the January 2025 new listings. I mean, they have just as few properties as Arlington has. In January 2025, they're at 347, so a little bit more. But back in June of 21, they were at 987. So they have 600 fewer properties in one of the most sought after counties. And this whole podcast is just about this one tweet, this one narrative, but it's not to say that things will change. It's not to say that a month from now, 2 months from now, there could be some heavy, is it headwinds? Some heavy headwinds coming towards the Loudoun County real estate market, the DC real estate market, the Northern Virginia real estate market, because I don't know the number of government employees that have been fired, probationary period, let go. It's over 10, it's tens of thousands. It could even be higher than that. And there is a large amount of government contractors, employees that live in these surrounding counties. And at some point the rubber is going to meet the road. All we can do is comment on the hard statistics. This isn't a feeling. This isn't an intuition. This isn't us, pulling a screenshot, zooming in and not providing any data. This is us looking at the information that we have and, making opinions on the rock solid information that we do have.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you were talking about Loudoun County, and our friend David Massey called me or texted me the other day, and he was like, "Hey, what are you seeing in Arlington right now? Because out here in Loudoun, we're not seeing much of a change." And that's the exact same thing. It's good to talk to people on the ground that are doing most of their business in Loudoun County or in these different areas to see what is actually going on. So it's good to see the statistics and know that everything is okay. We're all still running on the same inventory that we've been running on. Another one of our colleagues, Giovanni at Real Broker, was going to do a video, and he posted it to our thread, and I was looking at his graphs, and I was like, man, for some reason these are contradicting each other. But no, actually, they were proving his point. And his point was that he was looking, I think, at Fairfax County, Montgomery County, and Washington, D.C., and the fact that there was more inventory than that was normal. And that's what his numbers were showing for those counties. I don't really know Montgomery County, but what he was dispelling was that, the listings were coming on. Like, all this stuff was coming on. But what he actually showed was the listings, the amount of listings had gone down as far as new listings, right? So there weren't new sellers coming into the market. It was just old inventory, stagnant inventory that was lasting a little bit longer. That's why the numbers were up in those certain areas. It wasn't due to the hysteria of, you got to go sell. Right?
Was he trying to prove the opposite? And what was he trying to prove?
He was trying to prove that the inventory was old, not new. It wasn't new scare tactic. I'm throwing my house on because I'm losing my job kind of stuff. It was, this inventory has been sitting a while, and you're taking the wrong data and manipulating it the wrong way.
The way you were describing it, it kind of sounded like flat earthers when they do an experiment to prove that the earth is flat, and then they accidentally prove that it's not flat at all.
Well, that's what I was, he was like, I'm trying to dispel the rumor or something like that. And at first I was like not getting it. I'm like, wait, you're proving yourself wrong. And then I'm like, no, he just proved himself correct. And so that's where, again, jumping to conclusions and looking at things quickly, even I'll do it, right? Like, oh, wait a second, this is wrong. But no, when you actually slow down, look at what he said, and then look at the graphs, he's absolutely correct.
Shawn, you mentioned Montgomery County. Do you know the richest counties in America? Like,
they're right around DC.
They're right around DC. So number 1 is Loudoun. Number 2, Falls Church, both in Virginia.
Wow.
Number 5, Fairfax County. Number 7, Arlington County.
Jeez.
So now the talking point is, well, look at these people. Look at these, rich, lazy government workers. I'm paraphrasing. What's wrong with them? They're just kind of resting on their laurels. Housing values are going up and stealing from the system. What do you buy into that? What are your thoughts when you see the richest counties in America next to the federal government?
I mean, what else is here though? It brings in strong businesses, Amazon, all of these big companies are surrounding the government that support the government. So yeah, there are a lot of huge companies, but I mean, in one end you can say, all right, yeah, but on the other end, what does the government bring in? It brings in strong companies. It brings in strong people to run the government. So I don't know. I don't want to jump into a theory about that because I really don't know why, but it makes sense that we have, a lot of good businesses around here that want to be close to the government.
I think it's a little one-sided because, the internet was invented in Arlington, and, AOL has a huge presence along the tech corridor, from Tyson's to Ashburn. Speaking of Ashburn, you got the data centers that are
There's
out
so many
there.
data
It's
centers.
big business.
You forget out Reston, that's where AOL started, right? We have
Right.
these AOL guys
Right.
here.
And I think the stat is, do you know what percent of the internet runs through Northern Virginia?
No.
Well, I wanna make sure I'm getting it right.
This is interesting. Cool. Yeah, show us.
Internet goes through Northern Virginia. It's a startling amount, 70%.
Wow.
So 70% of the world's internet traffic passes through Northern Virginia every single day. So I don't think it's just 9 to 5 government workers going in and, getting rich somehow and then going back to Loudoun County. I
Yeah.
think there's a few more factors at play. So again, when we take these, hey, screenshot, I don't know what the logical fallacy is, but when it's, A plus B doesn't equal Z,
Right.
right? It's like, oh, well, if this is true and then this is also true, then these two things have to be true together.
Yeah.
Which is not the case.
Right. And I mean, if we think about our clients, right? Most of our clients, are they mostly government workers or are they mostly working for contractors? I mean, I would say there's a good amount, maybe 30% are government workers or something like that, but the rest of them are not. So, when you look at those statistics, you got to think that it's not as overblown as you would think. But I want to talk about one other thing, and this came up in my telling agents that they did not get the contract yesterday and saying, we got 8 offers. One of the agents said, wow, this back to work thing is really pushing people inside the Beltway. And I was like, hold on a second. Like, while that could be the thing, I think it's too soon again to jump to that conclusion, right? So Donald Trump said that, we need these people to get back to work. I don't think it's already having an effect. We saw in 2020, we saw the exodus of our area. We saw a lot of people moving out to Loudoun County and further because they didn't have to do the commute anymore because they were working at home. They could work at home. I had a friend, he's lived in Florida for 5 years. He works for the government. So, everybody moved out. And the other thing you have to think about is that just because people are getting fired doesn't mean they live here, right? They used to, they may have, but in 2020, we saw a big exodus. Now, so government workers are working all throughout the country. And so it's going to affect everybody everywhere, not just here if it's a big widespread firing. But my point to this was the whole thing about everybody going back to work, that would cause people to say, all right, well, I moved way out here and now I can no longer live here because my commute is horrible. And if you've ever lived in the DC area back before COVID, the traffic was horrendous. And for the past 5 years, I think we've been spoiled because the traffic hasn't been nearly as bad. It's still bad, but not nearly as bad. So I think it's going to take some time before we can say that it is the back to work effect on our local inside the Beltway market. I don't think it's hitting yet because it's going to take people a long time to figure out that their commute sucks before they actually say, I need to sell my property and buy inside.
There's going to be an effect. We're
There
going to
will
do a
be.
follow-up to
Yeah.
this video, and I'm so curious as what's going to happen in like the Loudoun, Prince William County area versus like the closer in Arlington, because you would think, I mean, there's a couple different ways of thought. Like people that moved out to Loudoun, moved out, for, work from home, they'd probably have to sell, immediately.
Right.
But at the same time, hey, if you're in Arlington and, you get canned, maybe you're the one selling. I think people underestimate how much people would rather be in Arlington. Like people live in Fairfax because they can't afford Arlington.
Yeah.
That's why they, deal with the hour-long commutes and the return to office is just because Arlington real estate is so affordable. So part of me thinks that Arlington's going to go down a little bit, but I think the national pundits underestimate how many people want to live in Arlington that aren't affiliated with the government. That's
Yeah,
what it
it's
comes
true.
down to.
It's 100% true. And, I always used to say that if you want to watch the market, you watch what DC does, and then it slowly spreads out to the surrounding areas, right? So if DC market is hot and Arlington market's hot, then it'll spread outside of the Beltway and everything will start getting hot. But when it contracts, it usually starts out in the outer circles. So when we start seeing that market out in, Prince William County and things like that, that's where the market was hot during COVID. Everybody was moving to Prince William. They were going to Loudoun. And so we saw all this, the prices going up there where our prices always go up. Ours were pretty stable. Everybody else's were going up a ton more. So when we start seeing this move back in effect, we're going to start seeing the inventory start to increase out in the Prince Williams, out in the Loudoun counties. And then unfortunately, they're going to try to buy inside our area, which we have no inventory.
Are they, or are they going to move out of the area?
That's true too. They could move out of the area and just say, "Forget it, I'm not working here," because it's hard to
It's
afford.
such a high cost of living area
really
that
is, right.
why would you want to do that to yourself if you just got fired?
Well, the thing is, I mean, well, I'm not saying firing. I'm talking about the people that are moving back
Okay.
in, right? The move back inners are like, we moved out to this area because we can get a bigger house. Now they're going to sell that $700, $800, $900,000 house, and they're going to have to buy a condo or a townhouse in Arlington, and that's the difference. And so, are people going to want to change that whole lifestyle, that they got used to with this big house, to have to move inside the Beltway to something smaller for just as much, if not more money? I don't know. But, for me, I used to do a commute. I was like, I'm never doing this again. I will pay more money to be closer to my job than, ruin my whole life with a 2-hour commute each way or an hour commute each way. It's horrible.
Did they
Yeah.
have podcasts back then?
No,
When
they
you were doing
didn't.
your
Man, I could have.
was it just you and your thoughts for
Yes.
2 hours?
Oh my
Oh,
God.
that's dangerous.
It was me
Just-
in a stick shift BMW on Route 80, like over and over and over again for hours. And my body told me never do this again, and I never did it again. So
that sounds miserable.
it is. That's what people deal with every day. We're lucky that we get to work from home, or our office is right here in Arlington. We live in Arlington. Most of our business is right here in Arlington or just the surrounding areas. We don't have to commute very far,
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. We're also in an industry with a 89% failure rate. We have
Yeah,
no
we're-
health care. We wake up unemployed every single day.
It's stressful.
We work on nights and weekends.
Correct.
So,
We don't have the
I don't want to
commute.
sit on an iron, chair thrown over here and say, "Oh, we're lucky. Everyone else has got to drive to work."
We're very unlucky in every other way. We're lucky we don't have that commute. That's what it goes down to.
All right, well, we're wrapping it up here. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I have a feeling I know which way this comment section is going to go. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this discussion, and subscribe if you haven't already. For Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.